because you've eaten a ton of it. You've trained your body to want sugar, and if it runs out of sugar, guess what? You're going to have a lot of craving for more sugar because your body wants to keep burning it for fuel. If you're a fat burner, you require less food to make it longer throughout the day because there's more energy in fat than there is in sugar, okay? So, really what we need to do in this plan, the biggest difference between the core plan and the advanced plan here is not only are we eliminating sugar like we were doing in the other plan, we're eliminating all things that turn to sugar, at least for a while. Remember, you only have to stay on this until you have your health conditions under control. But we need to eliminate all sugar and things that turn into sugar. So that's all grains, okay? All grains turn into sugars. And again, grains are pro-inflammatory, so if you have an inflammatory problem, we need to eliminate that from our diet for a little bit. So we're going to replace it with healthy fats, because healthy fats are good for us. So replace the sugars and the grains with more healthy fats. Almonds, great option. Nuts and seeds are great options on this stuff. So burn fat, detoxify, we already talked about that. Reduce inflammation. Again, remember the arteries. When it gets inflamed, it closes off. We want to reduce the inflammation, and grains will lead to inflammation. Remember the ratio I told you about? Grains are have a heavy omega-6 ratio. Omega-6s aren't bad. You just don't want too many omega-6s to omega-3s. You want to be in the right ratio. True cause of heart disease, we already talked about this stuff. So here's another great scam where medicine is telling people to take an aspirin a day to prevent heart disease and strokes, and it's based on the theory that, well, when we eat wrong and our arteries narrow, what they want to do is give us some aspirin so that it thins our blood, so it's less likely to get caught up in here. Wouldn't it be a much better idea to just decrease the inflammation and open the artery back up instead of thinning the blood? But millions of Americans are taking an aspirin a day for that reason. But here's the problem. Look at what aspirin does. The studies have shown that when you take one aspirin a day, a daily aspirin, it doubles your risk of cancer. Okay, well maybe you help prevent heart attack, but you doubled your risk of cancer. So what you should have done is started eating right, not taking the aspirin, open the artery back up, you'd be perfectly fine. You wouldn't have cancer, you wouldn't have heart disease. Look at what else daily aspirin does. It increases your risk of pancreatic cancer by 68%. It increases your risk of hemorrhagic stroke by 84%, meaning you bleed out. You get a nick in your artery, your blood's so thin, you bleed out, you have a stroke, hemorrhagic stroke. So I'm trying to tell you, to prevent heart disease, I'm not going to tell you like your medical doctors are going to tell you take an aspirin a day. I'm going to tell you decrease the inflammation in your diet. That's all you have to do.
But until you do that, you probably need to take the aspirin.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Although, if you were able to go on this advanced plan, if you were able to do it, I said it's all about baby steps. But if we have health conditions, then you get a little bit more kick in the butt saying, you're not allowed baby steps. You got a major health issue, you need to adopt this faster. If you adopted this, the studies are showing that, within weeks, literally that quickly, you turn things around. They did some studies, not that we're talking about diabetes, but if you're interested, look up online, type in diabetes and raw foods diet. You'll find some good information. If you just see a video that comes up on patients, a doctor took his patients, most of them had type 2 diabetes. He did have a couple actually that were type 1. He put them on an all raw foods diet, so they were eating perfectly healthy food, no processed, hadn't been cooked, all raw, good foods. And within a matter of days, most of them within the week had their blood sugar down to a level where they were off their diabetes medications within a week.
Wow.
So, it happens quick. If you can make that drastic change, it happens quick. So, let's talk about balancing hormones real quick and then get out of here. So the advanced plan, this is really the big difference that it does. No sugars, no grains, no fruits. Fruits turn into sugar. They don't turn into it. They have a lot of sugar, okay? Remember, on the advanced plan, if you're sick, you need to eliminate sugar and everything that turns into sugar. Now, we do allow berries, your blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and there's two reasons why this one's allowed. Yes, it is a fruit, and yes, it does have sugar, but it has a low glycemic index, meaning that berries don't spike your blood sugar very high. And also they have some immense health properties as far as antioxidants and things like that. So other than the berries, though, we want to eliminate the fruits for the time being on that advanced plan. And again, this isn't forever. Okay, fruits have a lot of great properties, but if you have some health issues or a lot of weight, you need to eliminate your sugar and all sources of it for a little bit. So for those of you hardcore people, you're still here, it's past 10 o'clock, and you're the one that's going to win that 30-day plan. If you're that hardcore, tell you what, your key to success, eliminate sugar and everything that turns into sugar, you'll lose weight faster than anybody else. No doubt about it. So here's an example of a couple of things, because you might think, okay, well now he's eliminated all of our wheat, all of our flour, all of our sugar. What do we eat now? Our lobster, yeah. Well, here's a couple of examples of things. Almond meal flour, flaxseed meal. You can replace, while you're on this advanced plan, and you shouldn't be having wheat, shouldn't be cooking with flour that's made from wheat. You can use these in place of it, okay? So there's some good options for you. You can find that at the grocery store. Again, flaxseed meal, almond meal. That's flour that you can cook with. Take the place of your flour. We already talked about this enough. So the hormone that we're really focusing on here is balancing leptin. Let me explain leptin to you real quick. Leptin is a hormone that it tells your brain to burn fat. Leptin will tell your body to burn fat, okay? So we want leptin to be present and we want our body to respond to it. Remember, we talked about fat doesn't make us fat, it's our body's inability to make us fat. If your body can't hear leptin, it's not going to burn fat because that's the hormone that tells it to burn fat, okay? Well, here's what's happened. We've become leptin resistant. A lot of us have in this country. Why? Well, mostly because of our great standard American diet. Our SAD diet has overwhelmed our leptin receptors. So what's happened, this is just like diabetes. You eat too much sugar, you overwhelm the receptors, you become insulin resistant, you're type 2 diabetic. The same thing happens with this stuff. So we have leptin, it's a molecule, it wants to go to the brain and say, hey brain, burn fat. We eat so much junk and we have such a high level of leptin, because we get more leptin the more foods we eat. We have this high level. So it's coming up there telling the brain, hey, we want to burn fat. Pretty soon the brain says, I don't want to hear any more leptin. All I hear is leptin all day long. I'm not going to listen to leptin anymore. So we're still eating all kinds of foods, and leptin's still high, saying, hey, burn the fat, but the brain says, I don't want to hear you anymore. You've burnt out my receptors. I'm not listening. So now we've become leptin resistant. And for those of you that have weight that just won't come off no matter what you do, you're probably leptin resistant. So what you need to do is teach your body to respond and listen to leptin again, okay? The other reason that we have leptin resistance can be from toxicity issues too. We've already talked about toxins and how to eliminate and avoid those. But you might think, again, well, so what that leptin's high? Well, one, I already said it'll lead to weight gain. You'll be overweight, you'll be obese, you won't be able to get rid of this stuff. But also, high leptin has been related to these other health problems: heart disease, diabetes, obesity, osteoporosis, arthritis, even aging itself. We all want to be younger. Well, there you go. We don't want to be leptin resistant. So the standard American diet and toxicity. Here's some questions to ask yourself if you're toxic, because you might not know, right? Well, if you can say yes to any of these, you're exposing yourself to toxins, and the more of them that you say yes to, the more toxins that are in you. But do you store food in plastic containers? Do you eat non-organic meat or dairy? Do you use a microwave? Do you cook with Teflon or non-stick cookware? Do you take medications? Do you drink city water? Do you drink diet soda? Do you get flu shots? I mean, guys, we're just skimming the surface, right? That's why I'm telling you it's so important that you keep coming to these. It's once a month, invested in your health. It doesn't cost you any money, it's just your time. I'm just skimming the surface with one of these. One day we'll talk for an hour just about toxins, where they come from, how do you avoid them, how do you eliminate them. We're just skimming the surface, but we're trying to cover a lot of information. But if you can answer yes to those, even one of them, you're exposing yourself to toxins. Toxins cause leptin resistance. That's what we're talking about here. Your body won't be able to burn fat. Again, 95% of cancer is all environmental, and it includes chemicals that we're exposed to our environment. Toxic top 5. Medications, household products. You know, start being aware of these things. All the stuff we use to clean, toxic. Teflon cookware, tap water, heavy metals. Again, the importance of the cellular detox and the body detox that I talked about. And that's something where there's a lot of detoxification on the market, okay? A lot of junk out there. Some are good, some are bad. You get some stuff is like colon cleansing. You want to avoid that stuff. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. With the detox, thank you. What you want to make sure that you have is something that basically increases glutathione, which is the most important antioxidant in your body. If it does that, it's a pretty solid product. And detox, it's not just like your health isn't an event, it's a lifelong process. So is the detoxing. Detoxing isn't something where, oh, I go through a detox and now I'm done. Okay? You're best off to be continually putting stuff in your body that helps your body detox every day. Why would you want to detox for 1 month and then just sit there and let it all accumulate again? That doesn't make any sense. It's just like exercise. You can't exercise 1 week and then be like, I'm going to take the next month off. I'll exercise again next month. Brush your teeth. You do it every day, right? When it comes to your health, these are things you want to be doing on a consistent basis.
So how do you compare the daily detox to the colon cleanse?
Don't do colon cleanses. They're junk. I don't mean to be harsh about that.
No, I asked that at Walmart, or not Walmart, Walgreens, and they said too, don't take, because I was reading it, don't take that.
I've never read any solid research on positive colon cleanses. They're formulated on some idea that somebody came up with that it'd be a good idea to clean out your colon. And you talk to any doctor that knows what he's talking about, and they'll tell you a bad idea. You don't.
All the bacteria?
Yes, it wipes you out of things that are supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
So I want to keep trucking because I know it's late. But yeah, I would avoid the colon cleanses. This is totally different. This is it's just a capsule that you take. You are what you eat. Real quickly, we've been talking so much about eating the right foods, right? And you guys are all burnt out. You've heard enough of it. What I want you to understand, though, you are what you eat. Not exactly, right? I could put all the right things into the mouth, down the esophagus, and into the stomach of a dead guy. It's not going to do anything, right? It's just going to sit there. It's just going to sit there. So, it's not just what you eat, it's what your body is digesting, absorbing, and assimilating. What your body is actually breaking down, absorbing, putting in the right areas where it's supposed to go, and using, okay? How does it do that? How does it know where to go? Your nervous system tells it where to go, what to do. We talked about how important essential fat is for your nervous system, but your brain, your spinal cord, and your nerves, they coordinate all that function. They do it for you. You don't have to think about it, right? But this has to be working for the signals to go where they're supposed to go. That's why in a dead person, you can put all the food in there, it's just going to sit there. It's not going to do anything, they're not going to come back to life. Because there's no more nerve impulses going through this autonomic nervous system. And this is kind of where I tie in chiropractic to this. I try every time I talk to touch on the 5 essentials a little bit. All right, today was very heavy on the nutrition, but this is where the nerve supply comes in when I talk about chiropractic. A lot of you might think, well, I go to the chiropractor because my back hurts or my neck hurts, whatever it is. Great, fine, but the real reason that chiropractic works for you, it takes pressure off of these nerves, okay? When your spine misaligns, it puts pressure on the nerves that come out of your spine. And your nerves are what tell your body how to work, okay? So when you have a misalignment and it pinches on that nerve, the signal doesn't work right. Like if it's the nerve that's going to your stomach, you can eat all the right foods, but if the nerve doesn't tell the stomach what to do, it doesn't matter what you eat, okay? So that's the importance. Again, all 5 essentials are equally important, but that's the nerve supply portion. That's where chiropractic fits in. They all work together.